Good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Sunday Scoops and another Sunday, as Richard always said.
If a Sunday, a Sunday Scoops
Sunday
time.
Scoops. Yeah, that's a Sunday Scoops time.
Yes, remember the days we have no radio anyway, let's leave it there. But today we have a very special guest with us here on Sunday Scoops. The erstwhile Malachi Smith. Now Malachi Smith has
Richard, you have to find one next adjective. Erstwhile I get older now.
Boy, I tell you. When people know you're too good, this man. And then when we use another term, the man say, why that's a $50 word. We can't bother with it. But anyway, Malachi Smith. Dub poet extraordinaire. Is that better now, sir?
Yeah, man.
A man of multiple facets and,
and talents.
I will say this, as I've known Malachi for a number of years, and sometimes you see people and you don't really know the full story, but getting to
this man have no full story.
The man rough man.
Is a story.
The man rough, bad. Here's a man who used to run down bad boy down in Jamaica as a police constable, and come out of Westmoreland and down a town, a central village where them boy have lick shot and thing. And Malachi today is an internationally renowned dub poet, a man who has moved into the South Florida community and enmeshed himself. A man who, you can't talk about Jamaican culture in South Florida and Malachi Smith's name is not in the credits.
Not even South Florida, and the diaspora.
To be honest with you, in the diaspora, and his name is not in the credits. And we're gonna take a look at the Malachi's journey. Dub poetry is a phenomenon that I remember watching this thing break in the 1970s, mid 1970s, and Malachi Smith was there from those early days, and this is where I know him from, the dub poetry. But there are so many other facets to this man. Writer, oh my God.
He's not just a writer, he's a playwright, he's a poet, he's a director, he's a manager,
songwriter,
he's a head cook and bottle washer.
Cook, absolutely. Yes. And a man who has credentialized himself over the years. So this afternoon we welcome to the Sunday Scoops corner, Malachi Smith. Malachi, how are you doing?
My pleasure, man. I am well, and I give thanks for the opportunity to share with you and your audience this evening.
Are you a share that with me? I tell you them phone thing. Yeah, kind of problem. Yeah, let me do that. Malachi, again, welcome. Now,
yes, thank you so much, Richard.
We have Jamaica is a place that when you talk about, I think when the creator make Jamaica, he basically decided that this is the epicenter of creativity in the Americas.
Yes.
And
I share that sentiment. I started writing a play once, which we did some excerpts from it one year at Urban League with Sidney Roberts and Jamaica Folk Review. And I was thinking that yard, Jamaica, was a place where God created our family wanted to go on a vacation. And I said, go down there, have a vacation. And the pirates, them find out about it, and pirates, them all over the world start, come,
Yeah, so we tell about the man creative God, the man turn all that in our story, Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Since Westmoreland.
Yes.
That is your parish of origin. You are a Peter Tosh, so you and Peter Tosh would have been neighbors, it would appear.
Well,
speaking.
Parishinas. I am from, say, further up in the hills. A district named Delfland, Moreland Hill, Delfland. That's where my neighbor's tree is planted, and I believe it's under a mango tree.
Why don't a Monkland,
a
Moreland? Why in a Chickafoot?
Yes.
So what breeze blow you in a Kingston? How did you end up in a Kingston? Coming out west?
Well, this is the story. I remember that my mother and her partner then, they operated a shop, a big shop, and her husband had another child with her, because he was my dad, Cecil. But I know that he loved me more. How he used to vibe with me as a little child. I'm talking like a baby now. And I don't know what happened, but one day my mom just catch me and just put me in a tub and scrub me down and bathe me and put on some clothes and pack a grip, and the next thing I know I was in a truck front. The truck drive for about 3 days, because at the time that I was a little child, you can't really process time and distance. So the truck over spiritually, you in your headspace is like about 4 days you drive.
No, I can tell you that I understand exactly what you're talking about, because back in the day there was a bus that came up from Coleyville.
Right.
But it went all the way to Troy, Craighead, go all the way back down to Malton, Ballynor, Malgully.
Spring Blossom.
Yes, sir. Spring Blossom. You know the thing.
You see, the man come from all that place, you know. I tell you. But as you talk about that, there's a book I wrote, one of my first pieces of writing, that spoke to the one of the main character in the story, making that same journey from down at St. James and come on the North Coast and thing. And you're right. As a youngster, you have absolutely no concept.
You take the bus at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
And it's 2:30 reaching Kingston.
And it's interesting that you mentioned that to Richard and Garth, because just thinking about it, so many of us began our journeys the same way, kind of leaving from a place and going to another place of uncertainty. So in my case, the first stop was Milk River, right? This is in Clarendon. Dad lived with his wife and started basic school. And the next thing I know, I leave from Milk River and I end up at my dad's father in Treasure Beach. So I spent some time in Treasure Beach. Wasn't going to school in Treasure Beach. Then I ended up going back to my dad in Milk River, and then I ended up one Sunday evening, I'll never forget it, ended up in Central Village. And let me tell you something, Richie. For the type of place that it has evolved into now, then that place, when I look at the canal, it was just getting to nights. And when you look at the canal, how beautiful it was, and the moonbeam striking the canal, and it looked like heaven. The canal was so peaceful.
What year was this?
Oh my God, I was too young to know. I know it was way before I was 7 years old. So I figure I was probably about 5 thereabout. And my aunt, my deceased aunt now, and Kami that came and met me with my little grip and took me through this little shortcut. Them places you can't walk now, Richie. To over the canal. There was a bridge over the canal. All that bridge is gone. I went down to my grandmother's house and everybody was just looking at me. Of course, put down my grandmother's frock and I slept under the bed that night. So that was my introduction to Central Village.
Central Village, St. Catherine, one of the premier parish today in every respect. But Malachi, you got in with, I'm jumping forward because I want to give the listeners and the viewers an opportunity to get a sample of what we're going to treat them with today, and exactly a piece of what you are about, dub poetry. Let's give a listen.
Yes, I love you, girl. And before that you heard One Way. A little birdie whisper and tell me say somebody love One Way.
All right, so two early tastes, and Malachi, talk to us about dub poetry and how you got into this thing in the first place.
Well, I had started writing very early, right? And when I went to Edna Manley, I was already performing my poems out there, not necessarily say doing dub poetry per se, or calling it anything per se. So I'm at Edna Manley, started there in '77, and Oko was there, Mikey Smith was there, Matawumba was there, and yeah, that was like the first set of poets.
That sounds like a poem in itself.
Yes, and then Oko said to me one day, say, well, Malachi, come with a reason. I was started reasoning, and he said, what you call your style? I was say, my style is more like commentating, because I love commentating big time, you know.
Mhm.
You know, I used to do some commentating. I later did some commentating with RJR, you know, with Howard Abrams and Ed Bart. A lot of people don't know
What
that.
that? Football, sports commentary?
Yes, I started. They said they had the potential to develop a wicked cricket commentator, but I started going to Cayman's Park with them on Wednesdays. All of them think they may hide and do, you know, as a cop. So I go over here, right? I go over here, and I think I was actually better than them running the races, because I've been running the races silently in my head. So when Oko called me, Oko said, what is your style? You know, and I'm gonna say, I call my thing commentated right now. And he said, no man, I know the iron dog. You know, and so it started. So Tomlin Ellis and Chris Bailey, I was walking by them at the fire at Edna Manley, and they said, well, we're thinking of forming a group, you know. And you're on board. I'm say, yes, man, and that's how Poets in Unity came about. And we actually became a group band, because we had our own musicians, and we'd stage our shows, and we got billed and all the big shows like Sting, you know, the Christmas morning concert, you know, guest artist as TST. That's where we had reached. Like West German TV came to Jamaica and filmed us live. BBC TV came to Jamaica and filmed us live. You know, we're at a level, but then migration started messing up the group. But that's where it started, at Edna Manley, in the early stages. And this was before a whole bunch of other people came around.
Well, as you mentioned in that little missive earlier, Oko Honora.
Right.
Oko Honora, we know
Orlando
as
Wong.
Orlando Wong.
From East Kingston.
From East Kingston. Orlando Wong had done some time at her Majesty's pleasure.
Yes.
At the General Penitentiary, if I remember.
Right.
And was released somewhere around 76, 77, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
And he had launched, his first work was called Echo.
Echo.
Right.
And the beat well read on the poems.
Yes. Well, because that's what introduced me to dub poetry, somewhere around 76, 77. And by that time, the Cultural Training Center had just been opened. The Manley administration had basically brought all of this, and that's where you would have gone to the drama school, Jamaica School of Drama.
Yes. As a matter of fact, I'm probably the only student that went 1 week full time and then I had to go part time, because the force then, I was in Montego Bay, I was stationed in Montego Bay, and then I applied to go to public relations because I wanted to go to drama school.
Mm-hmm.
But I was involved in a shooting in Montego Bay.
Hold on a little. Hold your story. Lord have mercy, boy. I may tell you.
But so when some people shoot some other people.
So
involving.
they basically draw a card at me and said, no, that brother too rough. We can't come on public relations. But I ended up doing all of them functions still. They would come and everything them had, they would come for me, you know. So when I applied for the Sudden Leaf now, them say I was too young of a constable. They didn't see the benefit of it to the force. Yet, almost every week, the superintendent who was in charge of public relations at the time would send for me to go represent the force at some functions. It was really adding up, but, you know, that's the way the system.
I want to push back a little bit because you became a policeman.
Right.
What would have troubled you to make you decide to become a police officer?
Well, listen to this. So my story is a long story. I had no intention of being a police officer, but both in Jamaica and in the States, right? So I'm at home, and I was waiting on the entrance exam results for JSA, Jamaica School of Agriculture, then, which was a tertiary institution.
Which is now CASE.
Right. So I did my JSC, passed 11 subjects, did my O levels, and passed like 4 subjects, waiting. And then one morning, one of my cousins came from country. She wanted to become a police officer. So my grandmother said, get up out of the bed and go out with your cousin at town. She wanted to go to the police test. So I went, wasn't 18 at the time. And they measured me and said, boy, you're short, how old I am? I said, like 16 plus, soon 17. And they said, okay, you can become a police cadet, Go ahead and do the test. So I just did the test. I passed it. She failed. So that's how it started. So I was the youngest cop in the entire Jamaica Constabulary Force. And on that Sunday evening, when that boat, we call the boat Old Joe, when it was sailing across Kingston Harbour.
Port Royal, yes, Port Royal trade.
Port Royal, it was like all kind of emotions was going through me because I don't know where I was a little pitney. I didn't know what I was getting myself into or where I was going. Because I really was thinking of a life as a writer. I love politics and I love my commentating. So I was thinking of something, fitting a profession or a career into something along those lines.
Amazing. And so here you were, you finished the thing, them send you go on Montego Bay.
Right.
That's where the
What I want to tell you something, Richie, is like I was so sharp then. Because my cousin failed, she's not a registered nurse. She failed the test,
Right.
I was sharp, Richie. You see, after we did the first part and then they brought you back another day and you had like comprehension and they gave you like 30 words to spell, senior soup, and the word like constabulary and some big words and I just lick it off. I said, slow down, young man. But I was sharp, Richie. I was so sharp,
Amazing. I'm just imagining you come from country, you find yourself in a town, and you're all over the shop. And
town, Central Village.
Central Village. I'm telling you. Well, yeah, St. Catherine anyway.
Yeah.
But you come and you end up in a town. And before you know it, the man have it on a boat, like tie you up and carry over Port Royal.
I am telling you. Because when we wrote our autobiography, the assistant superintendent then, Rose, was the training officer. He came and he addressed us the Friday. And I wrote about my ambitions and basically that I had no intention of coming there. But because of the circumstances, and he said, there are some of you inside here who have serious ambitions, but because of resources, you find yourself here. And he said, make this a career. You can do great things here. And that was true. I was able to own my own house, my first home, own a car, started a family and stuff. So I give thanks every time. And that experience, you can never buy it.
There's a young lady in the sports world that I would want you to have a word with, so you can teach her how to be gracious. But that's on another side. You started writing then, so clearly during this transitional period, getting into the force, you had actually, as you said, you started school full time for a week.
Yes.
And then had to convert to part-time. Must have been a tremendous challenge, eh?
Definitely, because even when I reverted to part-time, in the scheduling of duty, because as a young cop you work in shifts. Mm-hmm. And the station operated on 3 shifts. And basically the older cops, for the most part, didn't care about you going to school or doing anything. They were doing everything to keep you back. So getting duty so you could go to school was a challenge, was definitely a challenge. But one day I was at the station and I said they detailed me to do gun code process, and that was my little leeway of getting time to go to school in the evening, because I only worked in the days, you know. And that was a tremendous help to me.
So the gun court thing would have been, you are now in Kingston.
Yes, ma'am. I'm stationed at Half-Tree now.
Right. Just for the listeners and the purpose of those who are not familiar, because you are covering a significant period here to Malachi. Remember, the 1970s was a very challenging, rough time in Jamaica. The gun court was established, for as an answer to the gun crime problems in Jamaica at the time.
And also, the preamble to that was anybody who owned any firearms in Jamaica could exchange it for a Bible. You remember that?
I think I remember that. But once the amnesty finished, them catch you with a round of ammunition, indefinite detention. At the Governor General's pleasure at Red Fence over by Up Park.
Everything was red. The fence red, the roof red, the dirt red. It was some international action that persons in Jamaica initiated, and they say it was unconstitutional because people started complaining that the red was blinding them and stuff like that.
But not only that, the gun court was eventually declared completely unconstitutional as well. And that you can hold somebody indefinitely in prison thing. Which again, some of what you are covering here for us, the listeners, is a critical period in Jamaica's social and political development, and not to mention the creative, which is really our focus. But the gun court, even with its unconstitutionality, gave you an opportunity to.
Well, I was doing the process for it. So far, because the gun code itself was located in the center and the central division, right? So we would get the process from it, and I in turn, or my partner, would go and would find the witnesses and serve the subpoenas on them. So that was my function with it, my relationship with it.
And it gave you some time now
to go to school.
That you could go to school. Well, you are at the School of Drama. I know this was this for me, I remember this 1970s, mid and later 1970s period, which was when the creative juices of Jamaica, that's how I generally refer to it, was flowing at its highest. It was where some of the strongest music was coming out of Jamaica. Mid-1970s, the music was speaking to you guys on the School of Drama side,
law enforcement side.
Yeah, and then you have this dual role because you're on the law enforcement, and you have this opportunity at the Jamaica School of Drama for expression, right?
Yes.
And then you have all of these poets, because there are a number of them. There was a guy named Michael. What was it? Peter.
Michael Smith.
Yeah, I remember Michael Smith. Remember Oko.
Mikey Oko.
Quite a number of them.
Like Richardson, that young radio disc jockey was on JVC.
Right.
And he crashed and died. But there were a number of poets coming into their own in that era.
Now, one of the things that Garth and I, we did a program some time ago where we were looking at, I think we were doing the Shaka program, Garth, and we were looking at
the evolution of dub.
The evolution of dub. And so there's this, what we recognize is that there's this significant connection between dub music and the poetry of the period. In fact, you can't talk about dub without talking about dub poetry.
Yeah, it gave rise to people like Linton Kwesi.
And it gave rise to Linton Kwesi Johnson.
Malachi Smith, Oko and Nora.
But you guys, yourself, Oko over time became, his acclaim developed over time.
Plus later on, you had Muta
Baruka came in after that, and so on. But Mikey Smith was, for me, he was one of those dub poets that I revere.
He was phenomenal.
Absolutely. In the Babsy Seiko, she pregnant again, and I can't believe it.
And I can tell you what I liked about Mikey
Yeah.
was that Mikey is a type of poet who had this acute eye, where he would walk into a market, for argument's sake, a market there, Coronation Market, any market, and he'd be able to paint with his words what everyone is saying and doing in that market. And that was the strength of Mikey. He was powerful and deep. And he also had this deep urge and probably hurt to move his mother out of a tenement yard. And all of that always comes out in him. Powerful brother. Yeah.
He spoke about it in his poetry. But a question I want to ask you, because you're in this company of talent. And you know, we're up on a break. We're just going to take that. And when we come back, we're going to pick up from there. Talented poets.
Right.
You talk about Mikey Smith.
Right.
If one was to ask you in terms of influence, which of these poets would you say provided you with any kind of influence, if you will?
I want to say in terms of say performance techniques. I would more say Oko. So Oko is my poet, right?
Mm-hmm.
But outside of Oko, I would have say being influenced by say Claude Mackey earlier, by Miss Lou. There's this other Camo Brockway. I love Camo.
Edward Camo Brockway. Yes.
I like Brother Man, the Rasta Man. You know, love his key dance, and love his rhythm, and love his poetry. So he would be like one of my early influences. But my just like our medical doctor would have be a doctor, my poet would be Oko. Straight up. Without any apology.
Got you. We've got and
Richie, I wanted to we had started there, but we kind of digress on it somewhat.
Yeah.
Is that remember too that the poets in that period, when they talk about the consciousness, is that we were reeling against the apartheid system in South Africa.
Absolutely.
We were reeling about injustices in the Jamaican society, the corruption in real time, right? So we were hard hitting in our edges. We were just entertaining. Of course, we could do that because we had the flexibility, but we are also at the forefront of the movement for change. You know, when you listen to a poem like One Way, which is what we were saying at the time, appealing to the political directorate, and of course to the massive of the people at the time that we needed to come together in order to move forward and take the thing to another level.
It's amazing that you said that, because it's almost as if we are, you know, we're back there again. But God, I know, have a couple pieces lined up. We're going to take a quick peep. And
well, the first thing I'm going to play is Thinking by Okonora and the band, the AK-47. And then I'm going to go into one of my favorite poems of Malachi is How You Make Art.
Yes,
Malachi, it's been a pleasure.
Blessing.
It's been a pleasure. Any final words before you leave us?
Yes, I just want to tell the people that they can always go online to malachismith.com. And you can see more about me, my story, my works. And if you want to book me, I am a very flexible performer, as you just heard Richard playing from my catalogue. You know, I can work on a big stage with a big band with the biggest artists, them did sting and stuff like that if you want me to come one away. It doesn't matter what the occasion. I'm very flexible, you know, and I love to work. And I give my 100% and more every time.
Well, I think that's a nice way for us to depart. Yeah. It has been a pleasure.
Well, good. Enjoy God and bless. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday afternoon. Peace.
Bless it.
Hi there. If you enjoyed that clip, go on over to our website at yardmedia.com, where you can watch the entire broadcast at your leisure. And while you're there, why don't you check out our other reggae music features? And before you leave, pick up some of our Jamaican reggae merchandise, and hey, don't forget to tell your friends.